I also welcome all the participants who have joined this invited talk from varied geographical zones. So we have participants and learners around the globe, sir. This course is a part of Open Education for Better World, a UNESCO international online mentoring program which is designed and developed for students, teachers, teacher educators, and parents. Now, I take the opportunity to introduce Professor Amir Khan Amiri, having over a decade of experience in teaching and academic leadership. Currently serving as a professor of education at Dallas College in Texas, United States of America. Professor Amiri is presently pursuing Texas EC-12 Special Education Certification, underscoring his commitment to advancing his knowledge and skills in the field of special education. His research interests are centered around inclusive education, literacy development, and universal design for learning, reflecting his dedication to create equitable and effective learning environment. Professor Amiri has authored several publications, including books on educational counseling and the principles of fundamentals of education. His articles have explored the challenges faced by international students. We are honored to have you, sir, today, and we look forward to benefiting from your expertise and insights. Now, I formally hand over the session to you. Over to you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for your generous introduction. I appreciate the invitation and all the participants of their time to be part of this online program. Um, as you all know, we start. Shall we start the topic, or do we have? Shall we start?
Yeah, we can go ahead with the topic, sir.
All right. Thank you. Universal design for learning. It's a educational framework. It's an educational approach where educational planning, classroom management, teaching, and educational assignments are expected to include all students from different backgrounds, different level of learning, and different style of learning, and different emotional IQs and intellectual abilities and even disabilities. Uh, from the definition, it seems to be challenging. It's not an easy task to plan, manage, and administrate an educational way of teaching and classroom management where you can include everyone. But it's still, we have to do it. It's challenging, but possible. It's not impossible. UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, it has three principles. The first principle is principle or multiple meanings of presentation. The professor, instructor, or the teacher, or the educator has to present its classes, its lessons from different perspectives, with different educational methods, teaching styles, where it is effective and students are learning, as we see it, from different backgrounds. For example, if the instructor is just presenting through talking in front of the class, some of the students may learn, but some others may not learn from that. They may need some visuals. They may need some videos to watch, for example. They may need some hands-on materials to participate and act. Some may need to just be part of a group work. They may not be happy with individualized learning, or even meanwhile, some may not be happy with a group work. They may prefer to work individually just by themselves. They may have some personal issues, like talking to others or associating. They may not happy with that. That's how the teacher or the instructor needs to consider that and take that into consideration, that they have students that they learn from different approaches, not a particular way of teaching. And the second principle is principle of engagement. Meanwhile, you just, because you're classroom and you said you're a teacher, it doesn't mean you attracted the attention of all the students or you just motivated them or you just because you're in a classroom or the students are forced to be there, they're not motivated to learn. Now you have another art to show there and motivate them, encourage them to participate. Currently, social media and technology is distracting everyone, especially the students. Based on my understanding, the art of engaging is the most effective in highest ability or skill that a professor or a teacher can have. If you don't have the art of engaging, you can't engage students. They will be distracted, your class will be disrupted, and you will not have an effective learning there. You need to know how to engage them. So for that, you need to motivate them. How you're going to motivate them to stay focused and learn and not to disrupt your class. That's another art. Some teachers, they get pissed off, they get super mad when they see students are not engaged. They don't listen, they don't learn. They are on their phones, for example. They say, well, I'm a teacher. You're supposed to act as a student. But that's not something that happens all the time. And sometimes they don't get engaged. They don't think it's useful. And also they get more entertained on social media rather than by that formal teacher talking inside the classroom. One of the ways that the professors, teachers can engage students or motivate them, encourage them to stay focused is to correlate and link what is he or she teaching to the needs and real life experience of the students. This is one of the things that some teachers and professors they miss, and when they can't link it, how it is useful to the real life of the students don't get engaged. They don't learn. They don't focus. They go on social media. And so, how up to date is the teaching and the classroom and the materials? Is it something new? Is it something really? Because students are currently actually smart. Either they are focused or not, but somehow they're smart. The current generation, they just think if the teachings are not relevant to their life, make it relevant to their life. That's another way that you can motivate them. Make participate is another way that you can engage them, like asking them active questions, answer them their questions, and make them to answer to you or create questions. Move their places. If they're sitting in a seat and you see that they are distracting, move them to a new place. That's how you make them engaged. Meanwhile, ask them what is their need and what they want. What are their challenges? Are they satisfied? Are they happy? Take all this into consideration. These are part of your art of engaging and engagement in your classroom. The third principle for universal design for learning is the principle of action and expression. As you as a professor, as a teacher, you need to present in different ways. You need to apply different methodologies, different approaches, different frameworks, different materials. Meanwhile, you can expect your students that they express back their feedback, their learnings, your learning outcomes through a particular way where all the students should present what they have learned through that. No, don't expect that. That I was committing that mistake. Like I was expecting my students to be to improve their, for example, public speaking. I was always forcing them, either they were willing to do or not, to come in front of the class and present what they have learned. Apparently, it's a great thing. Well, they should do it. But there are exceptional students that they have a fear of public speaking. They are anxious, and they get anxious when you ask them or you force them. Yes, they should do that. But meanwhile, if you understand them, they have some disabilities or they have some special needs. You may ask that particular student if he's or she's not happy to come there and present. They may write an essay or an article or a paper and presenting it through writing. You will have their reflection and expression through their writing. That's another way that you can expect that. Or again, you may expect them to present their learnings through a group work, through a project that they will submit it later. For example, they're going to email it to you, or they submit it online through your educational platform. Meanwhile, they may uh, present or give the feedbacks what they have learned through drawings, through whatever way they are happy or they can do it. You just keep that open and let them express their learnings through the way that they are happy. That's another principle that we can't just force them. No, there's one singular, particular way that you need to express. When you make assignments, there should be different types of assignments where everybody can do what they want based on their interest. Like when you make the quizzes, for example, there should be different types of questions where everyone who likes to answer or who is good at answering that type of question, they are included in that assignment. If you have just a particular question and that's not including all types of assignments and quizzes, that's not a great thing. University design for learning is it aligns with diversity and learning and multiple theories of intelligence. We all know as we have different backgrounds, we have different level of intelligences, and we have different IQs actually. Students go the same way. They have different intelligences based on Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence that he presents. We should be aware of that. The other thing that we need to be aware is the disabilities. I am living here in the US when I go to these classes. Fortunately, here, lucky these students because they get diagnosed if they have any disabilities, and there are special educational services which they'll be served through that. I don't know if the same thing is available in India or, for example, in Afghanistan or other neighboring countries. But you as a professor or as a teacher, you should be aware if your students are disabled in somehow or some way, and they need special services, special education. And that's another thing that you need to be aware while your interaction and communication. For example, I had a student, she was not happy to talk to me at all. She was not opening her mouth. Not just me, no one. She was not talking to anyone. Anytime I was approaching her, we were communicating, she preferred to write something and deliver her message that way. As a professor, I was understanding that. And you as a teacher, as a professor, you should understand that too. Don't get mad because the students are talking to you. Maybe professors consider that as a sign of arrogance or being selfish. But I was always curious to learn and ask her what was the reason. And I found out she had social anxiety. She said that she's not happy talking with people. She was not trusting anyone. And the last word that she talked to me actually when I was leaving the class at the end of the semester, she was always happy communicating through her writing. That's like a problem, a disability, or a need, a special need that we need to be aware. And different level of IQs that Gordon presented the theory of multiple theories of intelligence. People have different intelligences, so they might learn differently, and they present their learnings and their feedbacks and their expressions through different ways. And we should be aware and respect that too. If we go with universal design for learning, it's actually a democratic approach which makes a student feel and think and act democratic in their real life. Because when you practice this approach in a classroom, you make students feel and feel respected and deserved. When they feel they're respected in that classroom, and they'll respect you, their classmates, and people around the student, maybe outside, The moment the students feel disrespected, they try to take revenge. They will disrespect you. They will disrespect probably the other fellows in the classroom and even outside the classroom, right? They feel they're respected and they are understood and they're supported. It's a universal design for learning is a very supportive approach for educational framework, right? It benefits all the students, not those with disabilities or with problems, but all the students take advantage of this approach, right? And while one of the biggest issues that we currently have is disruption and distraction in a classroom. When you apply this approach, universal design for learning, you avoid that. You don't have distractions in the classroom. Why happen? Why distraction happens? Why people don't get engaged and they don't listen to you? Because somehow they are bored. They are not interested. They don't think it serves their need. So you apply this approach, you make respected and understood, and nobody will have any excuse. Well, it's a good thing that includes all the students, and they will not disrupt your class. Unfortunately, probably you all may experience that in the classroom. Right now, making students engaged and put away their phone is a big issue. They don't do that. They are very entertained through social media. All the videos of dancing, cats, dogs, people are explaining in the kitchen, different types of foods, nature, politics, technology. It absolutely attracts their attention and distracts them from the classroom. But universal design for learning, make them understood, respected, and teaching based on their needs will take that excuse anymore. They won't have any excuse to disrupt your classroom. And it motivates them actually. Motivation is another art that we will discuss about it. The professors can motivate the students. It motivates the students, and they take responsibilities actually. Right now in our communities that we have problems that our authorities they don't take responsibilities. It's mostly, I think, because of their road to their background or in education. Unfortunately, for example, most of the politics they may not be even educated. Though I'm talking worldwide, and those who are really educated, if they come out of a real good classroom, believe me, they will act democratic. They will be responsive. They will take responsibility when they take a position like a political, financial, any social position that they take. They will act responsibly. They will take responsibility. Well, right now we have the issue that these authorities around the world they don't take responsibilities for all the mistakes that they make or the mess that they create. Most of them, as I say, they haven't been in that educational environment where they have been responsible for their assignments and for their education. Universal design for learning makes people take their responsibility, especially kids in those classrooms. They will take their responsibility and they will act responsive. Right now, we have students mostly they make excuses, but universal design for learning it helps them to be responsive and take their responsibility. Let's see, uh, any of you have any ideas or any questions so far, and then we will proceed afterward. Any question, any concern? Well, some may share their experience of universal design for learning. Have you all managed it, and what was the outcome? What is your understanding of universal design for learning or real experience out of a real classroom?
Participants, if anyone have any question or query, can ask questions.
You may just give your experience if you don't have any question. Like
Sir,
you were.
I don't have a question, but have an observation. Because in a country like India, diversity prevails in each corner. Even after few miles, we faces the diversity. We explore a different type of languages, and so it's a very sometimes it's very difficult for us to manage these differences. But this design is somehow useful in um some contexts. It's my observation.
Yes, it is challenging. Like I teach here in the city of Dallas. I have students who are, for example, from different ethnicities and races. They are white, they are black, and they're Latinos. They just come from neighboring countries recently. Some of them even have the English language issue. English is not their uh, primary language. I have students, for example, from Afghanistan that just recently traveled to the United States. They they have cultural issue, they have linguistic issue, and they have all types of issues. They're in my classroom. Fortunately enough, that now I know how to implement universal design for learning, an approach where I can include them in my classroom. Like for example, I know even the examples that I provide, these examples may serve like students who are from Hispanic or people from outside the United States. Some of those examples may not be very interested for American students here because that example is not something which would be a new thing for them. But I found out ways to include all these things and provide examples where it matches everyone's experiences and interests. And the background, students come from different backgrounds. While providing multiple examples, multiple methods. For example, I asked them, do you want to work in a group or do you want to work individually? One of the students, for example, who thinks is super smart will raise her or his hand and say, no, I work individually. Because that student think that it will be a waste of time if he works with others. He thinks he better work individually. For such a classroom that we have right now, this method serves well. And if someone takes a little longer time, I give them. If they say they didn't get it, like the question, or the assignment I provided, they find it frustrating and difficult, I give them a new assignment. I don't say I have a particular assignment for all of you. Some of them may question that uh, it's difficult for me. I say, okay, no problem. I got you another thing. I provide them a different example. And it also, the way the classroom is set up, the setup of the classroom also affects how students listen to you or they get engaged. Uh, from this perspective, if you see students are, for example, disruptive and they go off topic, you better separate those groups of students. Either they are friends or family members. Even primarily, they may feel frustrated, but that's not something that should concern you. You should apply what is effective for learning, not for the way the students may prefer to go, not just concerned with learning, but their personal thing, which is not really something to take into consideration. And also the video, it is important to consider. If you have audios, videos, graphic designers, all the visuals that if you have disabled students to include them there. And make them learn. And, well, currently we see how the world is divided, and even in particular nations among the countries, people are divided. You make them united, actually, and you make them democratic, you make them responsive, you make them people who are really truly educated, not they are just holding a degree, but they are truly educated and democratic. That's what is expected. Meanwhile, the way the universal design for learning is designed and implemented, it's actually, we shouldn't just think it starts in a classroom. No, universal design for learning, it does not just start in a classroom. It starts before entering the classroom. It starts with planning and designing, even the curriculum, the teaching and class planning before we enter the class. We design that. It should not be considered just by the teacher. I mean, the whole curriculum should be designed and planned that way. The teacher is just implementing it, that, and the professor. That's how we need to be aware of that. If curriculum is not designed that way, it will be a little challenging to implement uh, uh, educational framework which is not designed to be universal designed or inclusive, but you make it. Still, you somehow may manage that, but yet it better be designed that way, rather than just the professor, the teacher feel that needs to be done. Fortunately, right now we have technological devices that we have all this technology. For example, AI is coming in to take the advantage and using that and facilitate your classroom and your teachings and make it a little easier for yourself to plan and manage and teach where you can include all the students in your classroom. Let's see what the audience got, any concern or any suggestion or anything that we missed so far, or any question.
We have Sapna Mohanty. She has raised her hand. So may I request Sapna Mohanty to share her query with sir? Miss Sapna.
I think it's by
It's
mistake.
by mistake.
Yes, Dr. Faiza.
Yeah. So now it's time to pay our gratitude to Sir and my dear participants
This
and
session is open for question and answers. Dear learners, if you have any question, if you have any doubt regarding the topic of universal design for learning, because it's a very important topic in the third module also. So if you want to ask any question, sir is there. And the session is open for question and answers.
Since I haven't got any question, I want to share one more point.
Yeah, sure,
The
sir.
classical methodology of teaching was that we teach and then we give some homeworks for our students, and they come and next day we will see and review their homeworks and assignments. That's a classical way. But now we have another thing called backward design teaching. In the backward design teaching is you don't teach first, you give the assignments, you give the homeworks, you give all the activities you provide. They either perform in a classroom or they review assignments at home. they perform activities, they do the assignments. In the classroom is a time where you answer their concerns, their questions, and you hear their ideas, their interests, and their feelings and understanding from
The
what
class
they
में
have been
पाँच बजे और
reviewing,
पानी
doing, or performing.
फोटो भेज देना
I found
भेज
this one a little more effective
दूंगी
rather than
डोंट वरी मैं
just
दूंगी उनको आई वाज इन
teaching and then giving the homework. And sometimes even missing that too. So let's make it this way. Provide the materials, give the assignments, the homeworks, and the classroom will be a very, very highly effective, engaging, motivated time for the all students. Everyone will raise their hand, I face this challenge. Other one will raise their hand, I got this question.
मैं लगा
Other
देना
one would share their what they have learned. You expect them to share their learning. And students with different learning styles, with different IQs in understanding, will start sharing their understanding and their ideas, what they have gone through. That makes you really evaluate them as well. That's like a ongoing evaluation. You keep noting their performing and their activities, and then you refer the questions and their concerns to each other. Actually, that one thing that should be reminded, we all as a professors and teachers, we think when the students ask a question, it's up to me, it's my job to answer their questions, and suddenly we touch all our experiences and knowledge and force ourselves to answer what they're asking us. No, don't do that. And from my perspective, actually, refer the question to the rest of the students first. Don't feel that the students will assume that you don't know, you don't have sufficient knowledge. No, that's not the case. Let's make the students engaged and motivated. Anytime they raise questions, refer it to the rest of the class. Sometimes they will answer it more effectively than a single professor in a classroom answering that. Well, who knows? They got some answers, a better answer. And after their answer, you try to provide your answer. That's how you make them engaged. A real engaging, active classroom is where students are active. Imagine you're in your classroom and someone knocks the door. They enter the classroom and they just observe you from outside the class. You may not believe in my classes. If someone comes in, a stranger, they will get confused who's the professor, because I'm not in the center of this classroom talking and teaching, engaging and active. No. If you come in my class, you don't find me active. You will find such a lazy professor. No, it's not laziness. I make my students active. I'm not in the center of their attention. They should be thinking, feeling, doing, actively participating. And that's how you refer the questions. You make them. I used to just ask my students questions, actually, in all my experience. Anytime I wanted to make them engaged, I was asking them questions and they should answer me. But now I make them not just answer, but also ask good questions. If the students make good questions, they have a profound and better understanding of the topics. So this is how you make them ask questions and then ask the questions, and you refer it to the rest of the classroom. You activate their brain to answer this question. And this, at the end, you just summarize, you just conclude. That's the real role of a professor. Meanwhile, to understand, if there might be some teachers here as well, primarily, the schools were not created for teaching or heavy brain activity. The schools were created firstly, primarily, as entertaining centers, actually. It was just created to entertain the students and engage them in entertainment because parents were busy somehow outside somewhere. And now we take it just for learning. If anybody tries to play or get entertained, we punish them. And say, hey, school is not for playing. Be careful. You're in my classroom. Don't you know that who I am? I am the professor. Now, this is a little problematic issue here. I mean, we have to have a little, especially for younger students. If some people teach, we shouldn't be very boring, and I mean that's another reason the students don't listen to us. Um, let's now go for the questions and concerns.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, now I would like to invite Dr. Faisal Altaf, who is the developer and organizer of this talk, also to share the word of thanks. Dr. Faisal Altaf, over to you.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. And it's time to pay our gratitude to Sir. So, our esteemed guest and my dear participants and my fellow developers, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our resource person, Professor Amir Khan Amiri, for delivering an enlightening and informative talk on universal design for learning. Sir, your expertise and passion for inclusive education have inspired us to rethink our teaching practices and strive for excellence. And your presentation provided valuable insight into the principles and benefits of UDL. And the practical strategies you shared will undoubtedly enhance our ability to support diverse learners, especially in a country like India, where diversity prevails in each corner. We appreciate the time and effort you took to prepare and deliver this engaging talk. Sir, thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. Your contribution to our course is invaluable, and we look forward to implementing the strategies you have shared. So, once again, thank you for your inspiring talk and presentation. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Appreciate
so
the
much, sir.
invitation. I had a great time, enjoyed here. Uh, I really truly appreciate you all too.
Thank you, sir.